Namaste. Welcome. So what are yoga bandhas or yoga knots or energy locks? And what is their significance, the importance, the purpose, and the role in the practice in general? So there are many available texts and theory out there, so you can just read through them if you have the time. So I won't be discussing about the theory and the technicality of the process, because for me, the manifestations when it happens in real life is really very different. So it's really far from what's written in the books. Yeah. But they will help you for if you're studying this concept or this principle of the practice. They might help you understand the technicality, maybe some of the theory as well. Yeah. But my goal is to actually share with you how they develop as we develop as practitioners, and how we develop as practitioners as they develop inside the body. Yeah. So it's really, it really goes hand in hand. We develop as practitioners, and in return they develop, and then as they develop, as we develop, both the bandhas and ourselves will go through stages of development as well. So this is really very interesting, because this forms part of the cycle that we go through, from physical to breath and to energy channeling later on. So I will be talking about them one by one. Yeah. But for example, if you're still beginning the practice, 1 or 2 years, depending on the level or the elements that you practice, the duration and the frequency, around 1 or 2 years, they will start to manifest. If you're following the Hatha Yoga method, which means the physical side of it. So don't worry about them manifesting yet, because they will not happen, because there are points inside the body, unless the body is ready, they will not manifest. So this natural gift for us to breathe, inhale, exhale, and the natural gift for us to move and use the body and the mobility of our joints, the strength of our muscles are enough to support us during the beginning stages of the practice. So this is when the foundation is built. Alright, so you do your strengthening work, standing poses, some flow there, just to allow the energy to organically flow, and then become familiar with the breath, the general principles of the breath. Because later on you're going to be needing that awareness that now breathing becomes an organic process for you. You don't have to really actually think, when do I inhale, what happens when I inhale, what do I do when I exhale. So it becomes like our second nature to breathe through the motion as we move through them. So that's the beginning stages of the practice. Just knowing your body, building foundation, hips, some mobility in the spine, but not too much flexibility. So start from the foundation. Leg strength, muscular strength, joint flexibility, mobility, and movement. Alright, so maybe this will take about 1 or 2 years into the practice. And for me, a very good way for us to develop them is to actually harness the potential of our hips, and this include static and active movements. Actually, the active movements are a really good way to send the fire out of the hips. So you will know that, you will feel it actually, that the body becomes lighter and lighter. So active movements become easy to perform, especially when you jump. So the bandhas are already there. When elements of active ones like jumping through, jumping back becomes light. You can even experience now that you are using that awareness inside to lift yourself up to forward jump, and then you are able to float actually in the forward jump, and then the jump throughs become light as well. So those are the initial manifestations of the bandhas, that somehow the spine and the hips will just readjust as you breathe through the process, and then everything goes light. Unless the stage happens, don't force it. Don't be too obsessed developing them or learning them, because we cannot learn the bandhas individually. They happen. They're the gift of energy. They're our reward for the hard work we put into the practice. So we have like 3 primary ones. So we have the Mula Bandha here, the root lock, the Uddiyana Bandha around the mid-spine, and the neck area, the shoulder area, the Jalandhara Bandha. But as you develop later on, we have more locks. Now we have more locks actually. But let me just zero in on those 3 locks. How do they develop actually? Now, when you start to feel now the lightness of the physical, that you are actually using more of the breath and time the breath with the movement, it's organic, that you cannot do a certain element without these 2 components. That is the manifestation of the bandhas becoming felt already. Now when you start to feel that, you might want to try to explore now positions which are closing, because the bandhas, they have their inherent nature of hugging the spine. That's why they're called locks. They brace the spine, they brace the hips in position or in different levels of intensity as required in the position. So we have to harness their full potential first that agrees with their inherent nature. And translating to asanas, these are power building elements like arm balancing, flexion, or even work with some inversions there, even the handstanding. And be confident utilizing their full power in these elements. Because as we move on to the next, which is when we open the spine, their manifestations will be different. And the level of their utilization as well, with regards to that element, will be different as well. So the spirituality of the process is this. You don't want to be rushing, because if you rush the process, it's another dimension. And that somehow you need to back off a bit from the previous state for you to move on to the next. The danger of rushing is this. What if you're still enjoying your present practice? And because of our desire to cross the line, and you don't want to be regretting, oh, I should have stayed. Right? Because there's really nothing wrong with celebrating the power of the body. There's nothing wrong with celebrating the gift, because it's our reward as practitioners. And there are some spiritual implications if you rush the process. Because you don't want to be regretting that I should have stayed because I wanted to do this. I wanted to explore more of that element. Because inside I feel that I should, there's something more that's to be cultivated inside my body using this element. And it doesn't only translate to the body, it also translates to our own happiness as well as practitioners. Because power movements, those asanas or elements which you close and hug the spine, they're really confidence building. They're really, they gives us this sense of power and confidence. And you want really to enjoy that stage of your practice. So this stage of the practice is where the physicality of it is appreciated. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right? Now your body will tell you, actually your spine will tell you, your hips will tell you, that even how hard you do your power movements, how hard you access or utilize the bandhas, you will still feel spots inside your body, particularly along the spine and the hips, that remain trapped or clogged or closed. And then somehow there's this need to open them, to alleviate, because they will become heavy. Because you are actually allowing the spine to not really tighten, but you allow the muscles inside of you to really become more efficient, holding the spine together and the hips together as you perform these actions. That somehow they will give or cause some heavy spots there, but they're not actually you becoming short or tight, but the blockages inside your energetic body are starting to manifest. All right. So this is a stage now when you feel, I want it to open already. It will feel necessary for you to curl up. All right. Of course, you will still be performing those power movements, but somehow you will now allot more time opening the spine. And this is where the element of extension comes into the picture. All right, backbends. All right. Now, this is really very important. Why? Because when the spine starts to open, when the fronts of the body open and the spine extend to the back, the bandhas now would have to ease down a bit. All right. It's not that you are letting them go, but you will find a way, you must find a way, for you to open the spine while still accessing them inside the body. And their utilization is very different in positions where you open. Similar in nature, that they remain supporting you inside, but different in nature because you have to refine their engagement, not as gripping, not as hugging. It's more of you moving their manifestation slow, while at the same time breathing through them. So it's really different. So this is also the stage where the breath would refine as well. Right. And then when you work the breath, it will be inherent for you, natural for you, to perform now, to practice now your breath regulation exercises. Although in the beginning stages you might be doing some already, but the second stage where we develop and when we refine the awareness, when the bandhas start to loosen a bit, the breath will start to flow. In extensions, in backbends, bandhas become very more meaningful for me, more profound and more useful. Definitely, because we're not inherently given this gift to curl back. Alright, so we need now to engage the bandhas more, but less in intensity. Right, and in yoga backbends, this is really very challenging. Alright, now, how can you refine the bandhas? How can you refine their utilization if we didn't know how to access their full potential in deflection? Now, can you see now the transformation? So we need to really harness and really develop their full potential in positions which agree to their nature. And their nature is hugging, bracing. And then so when we move on to the next stage where we have to open the body physically, when we have to open the breath energetically, when we start to go through the deep spots inside the body which we hold blockages, the bandhas will manifest differently. The bandhas would have to be utilized in a different manner, more gentle, more refined. So the second stage is actually working, not just the asanas, but also breath regulation and cleansing work using the breath. Because the spine and the blockages inside the body will not be dissolved or will not be, I would say, open unless the breath flows inside. So on top of your asanas, you will now be adding the component of breath regulation. And this is when the bandhas enter the second stage of development. And this is, we as practitioners will enter and move on to the next level and stage of our development, which is more refined but higher in nature. Right. So really, this process is more than is really more than physical actually, because now we can only appreciate the person next to us who's going through the same cycle, because you know that the body, as practitioners, we develop, we follow stages of development, and then we become more appreciative and tolerant, not just of ourselves as well, but also of the community in general. Now, going back. Now, as the bandhas enter the more, I would say, refined state, as we develop as well towards that direction, somehow we need to back off from the power elements. But I'm not saying just totally stop. All right? What I'm saying is that you just lessen them so you can accommodate this next stage of your development. Because since you've developed your body, your breath, and your bandhas using the Hatha Yoga, which is the physical body, the safest path for me, it will always be part of your practice. Always, always, always. But they will just transform as well to complex ones in the future, but really distinct elements only. But asanas, the body will always be there, will always be part of the process. Now, as the spine opens, you will realize more spaces inside your body that you never thought are possible to open. Yeah, actually you never thought they're there until you feel them. And inevitably, organically, you will develop this need to somehow crack through those really hidden spots in the body. Alright? Especially here. Alright? So this is now when you will explore deep hip openers and combining those elements with elements of extension. So this is when the practice becomes less alignment focused, less theoretical, but you're gonna feel now the need to really adjust your body based on the nature, based on your structure. Yeah. So you might find yourself working the left side more. You might find yourself working the right side more. Because this is now where the nadis, alright, specifically the left and the right channels of the body, will start to become more sensitive. Alright. Because as you crack through those deep hidden spots in the body, and as the breath and the nadis become purified, inevitably you will get to that stage. The manifestations now of the left and the right channel will become more strong, will become more evident. Alright. Of the 72 or how many thousand nadis we have in the body, we're gonna only boil down to 3 later on. The left, the right channel, and later on the central canal. But the central canal will happen years ahead. Alright, now going back. Aside now from extensions, of course you'll still be doing those forward bending, your power, but now you will have this need to crack through deep down the hips. And then when you do that work, it will necessitate you to really do intense and deep stretches for the hips. Yeah. So it doesn't only mean hip openers, but hip openers and deep back bends as well. Yeah, because only back bends actually will be able to crack through the tight spots, especially around the low back. Yeah. And this is also the stage side by side. Your Kundalini energy will start to manifest. That's the reason why you're actually feeling those blockages. Like it feels like you're going back to the foundation because I thought I'm open already, but now I start to feel trap spots again, like I'm starting the process all over again. Yes, it is, because as the Kundalini energy becomes more flowing, definitely, because you're opening those deep joints of the hips, somehow you can experience more blockages. It's really your body developing, your awareness developing, and those hidden spots will start to manifest their presence as well. Yeah, it's not really bad. Yeah, it's actually a good sign of you developing. Yeah? You might experience now suddenly you become, why is it now that I feel more lopsided? Why is it now I feel more, my lower back becoming a little bit crunchy? Why is it now I cannot jump anymore as light as before? Right? So, this is where the nature of the person becomes really an important aspect. Because definitely, because you're going through a more refined state, you cannot go back. You cannot go back. Yeah, because when you go back, you will be faced with this challenge again. Yeah, so now you're getting, well, what I mean that you need to really enjoy those previous stages and then really enjoy what lasts, because when you move on to the next, it's an entirely different world. Yeah, and the elements and the utilization of the bandhas will be very different as well. Right, so when the Kundalini starts to manifest, this is when you're actually going to feel weaker. Weaker, not weaker physically, but weaker emotionally, because you will start to realize, oh, when all this gonna end? Alright, the more you develop the body, the more you will feel spaces and hindrances inside. Yeah, that you know you can crack through them, but until when? Will the process continue or happen? It's never ending, really. Actually, it's never ending. You just have to deal with it. You just have to deal with it. This is the path you've chosen to take, so you have to deal with it. And that's really the nature of the person would have to be considered. Right? Because the more we fight it, the more we fight this energy, the more it will fight us. Right? So relating to bandhas, we need to loosen their grip. But still, we have that awareness because we remember how we use them, and we're so efficient using them. So we could still access them even if we surrender the body. Alright. So for example, for argument's sake, there are so many things written and said about the bandhas. Clip the throat, tighten the anus, tighten the belly, squeeze everything. Does that mean when you open, the bandhas are not there anymore? Because the box is like this. Yeah? So the bandhas, actually you can access them at will in any position, any elements. Even later on, the next topic is meditation. Yeah, you can still access them. But they manifest, they are utilized in different levels of intensity as we develop. Right? So when we curl back, we can still use them, and then actually use them even more significantly to support our back bending, to support our breathing work. Because when we do the breathing work, we do the internal cleansing, the bandhas are necessary to support the inner organs, because we alter the nature of the breath, and we might put pressure inside the inner organs, and might even cause permanent damage if we don't utilize the bandhas. So from the physical, when the bandhas are really very competitive, hugging, closing, now when we do the extension, when we do the breathing work, they become lighter but more significant inside. Alright, now as the Kundalini energy becomes more potent and flowing, you will feel its assertion of her inherent place in the body. Yeah, really, the Kundalini energy will assert its way up. Now, you can't stop it because that's the nature. You flow her out, you have to lift her up. Alright, now, what is the role of the bandha in this stage, or at this stage? So this is when the bandhas will go through another transformation. And this is a transformation where the bandhas will just have to work organically inside without you actually moving the physical body as much. Of course, the physicality of the process will be there, because to prepare for the stage, you have to open the body. And the elements will be distinct as well. So the really deep and complex openness, the Kandasana, deep shoulder stretches, deep asymmetrical back bends, Ekapada Kapotasana, and then you have to do the elements over and over again. Because you need to free that body so you can allow the energy to flow out. Because the next stage now, as you go through another transformation, it's stillness. Literally, the body would just have to stop, even sitting position or reclining position. Right? And now the bandhas now go even through a transition where you're not actually using the body or even using the breath to utilize them. They will just work their own inside the body, indirecting the energy to pass through the central canal, the Sushumna. And this will require total stillness. Because you can't be busy squeezing, you can't be busy breathing. Otherwise, you won't be feeling it. Because the energy, as it passes through the central canal, or as it pierces through the chakras, the body would have to remain still. And then using the bandhas only inside with some breath regulation form, with some forms of breath regulation to direct the energy out. It's not the body already moving, it's not the breath initiating it. Of course, the breath would have to be done distinctively light. The bandhas now would have their own way of directing the energy. So as we go through these different stages of development, they manifest differently. As they manifest differently, we have to adapt as practitioners. So the spirituality of the process is really accepting our path. But somehow, we have to let go of the past so we can face the future. We can face what's ahead of us, what's in store for us. Because when the bandhas start to develop, they will lead us. They are our teachers, actually. When the bandhas start to develop, you won't be needing my instruction anymore. You won't be needing the instruction of your external teacher, because they will become your own inner teacher. You can't go wrong with them. They will lead you to that inherent stages of development. Physical, breath, and energy channeling, or meditation, or even practice or teaching, service later on. So the bandhas as well will tell you if the body is not ready, because the body will feel pain if you do a certain position. The bandhas will tell you if you need to rest, because sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not there, sometimes they manifest easily, sometimes even how hard you try, they don't agree. So they tell you when to back off and then take some recovery. The bandhas will also lead you to aspects of the practice outside the mat, especially the way you handle yourself as a practitioner, which includes the different types of activities we practice, even the way we eat, and even, of course, the way we deal with the community as a whole. All right, so it's really very enlightening experience, this bandhas. And as the bandhas develop, we will develop other realms in the body, physically, spiritually, energetically. And then this all forms part of our development as practitioners of this beautiful discipline called yoga. Especially if you're following the Hatha Yoga. So my advice is this: enjoy each moment, enjoy each stage of your development, and celebrate this beautiful gift of your hard work. I'll see you next time. Namaste.